Council President, would you call the meeting to order?
The meeting is called to order at 6:30 PM on 5/18/21.
Okay.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Stevenson,
Present.
Councilor Gowdy,
Present.
Councilor Martin,
Present.
Councilor Smith,
Present.
and Councilor Austin.
Present.
Okay. We'll have remarks of the public on agenda items only. 2 minutes, please.
Is there any public wishing to speak at this time? Hearing none, clerk.
Next, we have our presentation from the Mcgregor Development Project. Our presenters are going to be Dave DeFrancisco from HDS Architecture, Greg Barron from CHN Housing Partners, and also Ann Kahn from Mcgregor. And give me just one moment. And I'm going to pull up. Where I want to go.
Please mute your phone. Thank you.
My interviews with her mom and the city's new police chief are coming.
Thank you. Okay, I have your presentation up. As you go through, just let me know when to go to the next screen, and I will.
Okay.
So I was to say, if you don't mind, Dave, I'll just kick it off really. Thank you for the introductions and thank you for the opportunity, Council, to present the newest development on our East Cleveland campus here at Mcgregor. We have, as you shared before, both Dave DeFrancisco and Greg Barron from our development team, and then we will also have a time at the end just to open it up for any questions that you might have as we go through this. So with that kind of start, I'd like to turn it over to Dave to walk us through this presentation.
Okay. Thank you, Ann, and thank you, members of East Cleveland City Council. Honored to be here this evening and appreciate the opportunity to present this next exciting development on the Mcgregor campus. If you could go to the next slide, please. So this is an aerial view of the Mcgregor campus, and as you can see, the new independent living building, which is a prominent part of this new development, is going to be built actually on the site of where most of the existing parking lots are located today, on the east side of Private Drive, immediately adjacent and actually connected to the assisted living building that was recently completed just last year. In addition, the project also includes interior rehabilitation of the 52 apartments inside the Mcgregor home, as well as the construction of a new 52-car parking lot on the site of what was once an old house in the north corner of the site there in the yellow. Next slide, please. And these are just some images of the site as if you were on the property. This is as you enter the site where Lee intersects Private Drive, and you can see, you know, the gardens are to the left, along with the community building in the background, and the new independent living building site there in the foreground on the right, with the assisted living building in the background. Next slide, please. And this is turning a little bit more towards the site and a little further in on Private Drive. And again, gardens and community building on the left, assisted living building in the background on the right, and the new independent living building site there in the foreground on what is predominantly parking lots right now. Next slide, please. And this is if you had turned right down the roadway which leads to the Mcgregor Pace site. It used to be the old Forest Hills Educational Development site. And here we have the assisted living building again on the right. Mcgregor home is in the background. gardens are also in the background, and then the new independent living building, which will be connected to the assisted living building there, highlighted in the orange. Next slide, please. And then this is, if you proceeded in on the site, into the site on Private Drive and looked back towards Lee Road, you can see the new independent living building site now on the right where the parking lots are. And then that's the gardens and community building on the left, and the community gardens and community building on the right with Private Drive in the middle. Next slide, please. And this is just a site plan overview showing how the new independent living building, which will have 54 one-bedroom apartments, 3 stories, matching the height of the assisted living building and connected to it, will be sited. And then the new north parking lot located at the far north end of the site. And then we've also highlighted, we're really excited to say that we once again were successful. Mcgregor was successful in getting a green infrastructure grant from the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District. And so we will be putting in permeable pavers highlighted in the kind of terracotta reddish color as part of the new parking lot, and also 4 new spaces that are going to be added to that island immediately in front of the gardens for some close-in handicap parking serving that building. And those permeable pavers are going to help substantially reduce the amount of stormwater runoff that actually makes its way into the public sewer system. We were able to use this type of system when we built the assisted living project. And so if you've been there and seen how the permeable pavers are for that development, these will be very, basically identical and will perform in very much the same way. So this plan just kind of highlights that. Next slide, please. And then these are some images showing the new independent living building and its relationship to the assisted living. Independent living in this view it's kind of an aerial view, is in the foreground. It's the L-shaped building with the entrance oriented towards Private Drive, and then the T-shaped assisted living building in the background. You can see that the architecture and the design is very complementary of the architecture of the Forest Hills neighborhood and also the existing Mcgregor campus. Next slide, please. This is taken from a little more of an eye-level view coming in Private Drive, and there you can see the covered entrance in the center of the image with the independent living in the foreground, and then behind it the assisted living building. Next slide, please. Just a little closer in view of the new project. Again, with the covered entry canopy. And again, materials and design of the building very much consistent with the assisted living building and the general style of the neighborhood and the campus. Next slide, please. This is a view looking around the other side of the building now, the side that faces what's commonly referred to as the meadow, the large green space behind the assisted living development, and kind of to the north and east of Private Drive. You can see that there's a community room with a covered porch that faces that green space. You can see that kind of in the center left of the image. Next slide, please. And then this is pulling back a little bit farther, and you can really get a sense of the green space that the 2 buildings front on. That's actually the rose garden in the foreground, which is immediately in front of the existing Mcgregor home on the opposite side of Private Drive. Next slide, please. And so at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Ann. Is it you or Greg that's going to talk about the important stuff?
Greg is going to talk through the financial piece.
Okay. Greg Barron is with CHN Housing Partners, who, as Ann mentioned, is a co-developer on this project.
Thanks, Dave, and thanks to the council for allowing us to be here tonight. Guys, let me know if you can't hear me for any reason. I'll try to speak up here so you can hear. Just to give you a quick rundown, so Ann had mentioned we previously partnered on the assisted living project, which completed last year. It's currently in the lease up stage, and we've since moved on, and now we're working on this independent living project. What you see before you now is the total sources and uses for the project, and this is pretty specific to the 106 units that Dave had just gone through. So it includes a combination of both the renovation of existing units, 52 units at the site, and then new construction of a 54 unit building, which Dave just showed you the renderings and elevations for. Just to quickly go through the sources and uses for the project. Up top, as you can see, there's $5.8 million in acquisition costs. We're also getting recent general contractor estimates back from the general contractor, which come in about a little over $15 million. We then have architectural and engineering fees at $632,000. Soft costs, and this is a combination of a number of items that are included in the development projects. It's at about 4.9. We also have financing fees, tax credit fees with OFA, as well as startup costs and reserves. And again, we're coming in at about $28.3 million. To briefly go through the sources for the project, as partners, we've already been successful in receiving a HUD 202 grant. That's $3 million. We also have allocations from both the City of East Cleveland and Cuyahoga County for home funding. There's a seller note involved in the project because it's a related party. We have tax credit equity at about $12 million, and then general partner equity and deferred developer fee. And then, as I mentioned, there's 52 units that are being renovated, and within that, there's existing reserves that will be transferred to the new project. So this really rounds out the sources and uses. Again, it's for the 106 units that we're discussing tonight. We'll move on. Next slide, please. Okay, so the next slide here, this really encompasses, and feel free to jump in on this too. These are investments to the campus since 2008. I mentioned the assisted living project that recently completed. That was a $20.6 million project, total of 90 assisted units on the campus. There was also a PACE clinic that was completed for $5.5 million. Dave had mentioned the grant that we received from the Northeast Ohio Sewer District. A portion of that will go towards parking lot improvements, which are currently in development now and being developed, and will start construction here in the near future. The Mcgregor Independent Living Project is really just to carry over the sources and uses that we just reviewed. That's for the 106 units. And then there's also 18 market rate units that fall within the existing building now that will also be renovated. So it's really a total, since 2008, a total of $55 million that's been involved in the development site here at Mcgregor.
I think the other part, if you don't mind, Greg, I'd just like to add. We talked or touched a little bit about the HUD 202 award and why this is so important to our community and the individuals that we serve. The HUD 202 award actually provides a rental subsidy to the individuals that are living in those apartments. So no senior would be required to pay more than 1/3 of their income in rent. And then there is a match from the federal government to make up the difference between their monthly payment and then what the rent would be for those units. So especially as we are trying, we know as a provider to low-income seniors that one of the stools or the legs of the stool is safe, affordable housing. And so for us to be able to bring this project to development and here in our, at our main location, we're just really excited to be able to do that. It is complicated, as Greg mentioned, just from a financing perspective. And unfortunately, at the time that we're trying to do this, there's quite a bit of uncertainty with lumber prices and some of the other just supply challenges that are occurring now with the reopening of the kind of economic, which is great news, but creates a little bit of a unknown for us as the co-developers of this project. So we're really excited that we have a talented team that can work through those issues and make adjustments as we need to. Sorry, Greg, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Yeah, so as Ann mentioned, I mean, we just wanted to present the sources and uses so you guys had an understanding of what the project looks like from a financial perspective. We've, out of the sources that we had listed off, everything is secure at this point. There's a few hoops that we have to jump through with OFA. They're really just waiting to finalize all the details with our financing partners, which includes our bond underwriters, the construction financing, as well as the tax credit. So once we have those details hashed out, we're really prepared to move forward. And mentioned it's an extremely complicated project. We're really, combining HUD financing with OFA financing. And so we're working through the process now. I mean, we're really optimistic. Like I said, we partnered and completed the assisted living building pretty successfully. As you can see in the photographs, this is just a complement to the existing Mcgregor campus. And I know from CHN's perspective, we're honored to be in the city of East Cleveland, and we look forward to partnering with you guys. And I think that was it from a PowerPoint slide standpoint. I thought the next step was possibly to open it up for questions.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
How are you guys this evening?
Please identify yourself.
I said Council Nathaniel Martin. Can you hear me? No?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
hello.
Yeah, we can
This
hear
is
you now.
Danny.
Yeah, I want to just ask a couple of questions. I'm looking at the Mcgregor Pace Clinic. Can you kind of elaborate what happens with that, please?
Sure. So in 2019, Mcgregor purchased, Dave mentioned earlier, we purchased the building from the county for approximately $2.5 million, and then invested another $3 million in renovation costs to bring that location to our campus. So on that location at Mcgregor Pace, we have about 100 to 150 employees given any given day that help support our PACE participants who are living in the community. So that isn't a living area, but it is an adult day as well as medical clinic that's located here on campus as well.
Okay. You guys have been expanding over the years, which is a good situation. I wanted to ask you guys, all you key people, Dave DeFrancisco, Greg Barron, and Ms. Khan, do you have enough parking, let's say 5, that will sustain you for the next 5 years or so, or do you need more?
We believe that the current plans will adequately address the planned and future needs for parking on the site.
Please mute your mic. Please mute your mic. Clerk.
Even if it's a public meeting?
I guess so. It's telling me that 2210.
Thank you. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I was just explaining that we have done extensive analysis of the parking situation, both currently and planned for the future. And yes, we feel like with this new development and the new parking that's being created, we will definitely have enough cars on site for the residents and staff who will be using the campus.
Okay, I know that it's very nice up there. Do you have more room to expand if you want to expand 5 to 10 years from now? Do you still have room for expansion?
I can take that. I believe at this point in time, this would be our last development from a residential space on our campus. We have 45 acres on site, and so if there were an opportunity to expand in the future, it would have to be through a purchase of another adjoining property, or I think if Mcgregor were to expand, we'd be looking at an alternative location other than this particular site.
Okay, thank you. I want to say that the partnership that we've had over the years has been a win-win situation. And I'm glad to see that you're expanding, and I think this is a great thing for the city of East Cleveland. And I want to thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Yes, I have a question, Councilman Austin.
Go ahead, please.
I know in the past, we talked about community benefits, and I want to see if we can kind of revisit that discussion about community benefits as Mcgregor continues to expand and, kind of receive some benefits from the community. We want to see what, if anything, Mcgregor plans to incorporate the community in their new footprint and what those benefits look like.
So I guess, and again, I will do my best to respond, Councilman, but if there's something in particular that you have in mind, please let me know. But I mean, at this point with Mcgregor's expansion, part of the community benefit is bringing 80 new seniors to the campus and to the city of East Cleveland, as well as the expansion in payroll. So part of this, whenever there is an expansion on campus, there's an expansion in employment. So that also provides opportunities for citizens, living here in the city. And then the last one I would just say is during the pandemic, Mcgregor opened a food pantry for both our employees as well as participants. And at some point in the future, if that's a benefit that could help in our surrounding community, we would be open to expanding that. I know there's a couple of other locations within the city that provide, food pantry services, but our focus during that time was really helping to support the low-income seniors living on our campus. So I'm open to, if there's something else you have in mind, I'd love to talk with you more about that.
I think before the last CEO retired, he talked about, respectfully, about having some opportunities for, job and those kind of opportunities for citizens in East Cleveland. I know a lot of the things that you need on site were skills-based and required a certain measure of certification. So I want to know if there's something that you plan in the future that you can either offer some scholarships or on the job kind of training, those things. And you don't have to answer right now, but I do want to kind of remind you that that was something that the previous CEO kind of discussed, and we wanted to make sure we kind of realize some of those benefits. Yeah. Thank you, and that's all I have.
Well, I'd like to respond because I appreciate you bringing that up. I will say we are launching a pilot in June, which is something we're referring to the Learn and Earn program, where individuals have an opportunity to be trained and be paid at the same time to become STNA caregivers here on campus. So again, a first trial to see how successful and how much interest there is in the community. So we're starting with a fairly small class. It's less than 10 people, but if that's something in the future that we see interest and success, I would commit to continue to doing that here. And obviously that would be open to anyone living here in the city.
Great, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Sure, my pleasure.
Any other questions?
This is Councilman Smith. I have no question. I just want to say thank you for your continuous efforts to serve the people of East Cleveland. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? We have no more questions. I'd like to thank Mcgregor for coming and spending this evening with us, and invite them to come back again whenever they feel free to do so. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Clerk? Clerk? Victoria? Okay. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, we're
Give me
ready to,
one moment here.
okay.
Thank you. We have, we're at minutes to be approved. And we have the regular council meeting minutes for May 4th, 2021. Next, we
Madam
have,
Clerk,
I'm sorry.
Madam Clerk, I'd like to make a motion to approve the regular council meeting minutes from 5/4/2021.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Clerk, call the roll.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yay.
Counselor Gowdy,
Yay.
Counselor Martin,
Yay.
Counselor Smith,
Yay.
Counselor Austin,
He'll be back.
Who is this?
Counselor Austin, are you there?
Who is this?
No, we lost him.
Yeah, he'll be back.
We have 4 yays. The minutes for the regular council meeting for May 4th, 2021 has been approved. Next, we have reports and announcements of the mayor.
Mayor King? Is Mayor King on the line?
Good afternoon, Mayor King is on the line. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Give me 1 second here. I'm trying to get the video. Okay. Over here. I'm not sure. Okay, there's my video. Our technology doesn't always work when we want it to, as it should. Good afternoon, council president, councilors. In lieu of an announcement and report, I'd like to make a presentation. We've been trying to contact council all day to see if it would be acceptable to make a short presentation. Here it is in regards to a piece of legislation that has been sent down. I would like a number of people to speak, including our fire chief, our building and housing director, our finance director, and I think the chief of police is also on here. So without further ado, if it is okay with council, I'd like to start with
I move to let the mayor make his presentation.
I thank you. I'd like to move to bring in the,
What is this presentation about?
it is in regards to a piece of legislation that has been submitted to it is, in short, it is about a fire that happened here in the city.
Okay.
Chief Worley, are you with us, please?
Yes, I am.
Madam President, could we have permission, please?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I believe I said okay, Madam Vice President.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Chief Worley.
Okay. First, Mr. Mayor, did you have a question for me?
No, if you could just tell us a little about the incident that happened with the fire on Noble.
Yep, no problem. So the situation was there was a fire there. It was a vacant structure at the time. Prior to the fire, the place was already a nuisance, public nuisance, for the simple reason that we had people who were coming in and out of there doing illegal things because we had been in there before for other issues. When the fire actually took place, the fire load was so heavy that it actually made the roof collapse. So then whenever that happens, our concern becomes during the fire is the outside structures that are around it. We were able to go ahead and preserve those structures, but because the fire load was so heavy, now it posed to be a problem to hit the properties next to them and possibly even spilling out into the street, especially being on that incline. And so for that reason there, the OIC at the time requested that so that nobody would get hurt, so that the properties next to them wouldn't get damaged more or any damage other than just the heat that it had, that place or that building be immediately demolished.
Thank you, Chief. I'd like to now bring in our Building and Housing Director, Mr. Melran Leach. Are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, please. Thank you.
If I can, I want to share the screen so everybody can see. If people can see my screen, and I can show you the pictures of what it looked like. I was called in early that night and the next morning by the mayor's office to address the fire with the direction of the fire department. So the contractor was called in at the last minute, and we said that we need to make sure that the public safety and health of the residents are taken care of. So we got a contractor that came in. He gave us an estimate. I did my due diligence to find out if that estimate was within reason, in which it was. Contractor gave us a price of around $9 a square foot, where the land bank said that the price for doing a project like that was upwards of $12 to $13 a square foot. So the price was within reason. After we had the property demolished, we followed the ordinance of the city, and we have
Excuse me, Melran. Council Clerk, can we share the screen to see these pictures, please?
Yeah, Mr. Leach, hit the share screen. You should be able to now.
Yes. When I hit the share kind, it says you cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing.
Okay.
Okay, try it now.
Thank you.
So if you can see here.
There you go.
Okay.
These are the pictures of what happened afterwards and what it looked like. After the fire department did a great job of fighting the fire. This is the firefighters in action, trying to bring the flames down. This is another picture showing that the structure was totally demolished. It was inoperable. There was no roof. All the floors were gone. This is the firefighters putting out the flame on this picture. Another shot of the firefighters doing their job. You can see in the background of these pictures that this was a blaze. I haven't seen nothing like this personally myself. Just showing you, you can see the smoke going up in the air and how high it was. And this was a winter cold day as well. This one, you can see the snow that was still on the ground. So as you look at these pictures subsequently, we have invoiced and had conversation with the property owner. The law department, along with us, are trying to collect. However, to this point, they have not paid, but the ordinance says that we needed to invoice the property owner for this fire. This fire is when it was in full blaze.
Mr. Leach, how much money are we talking?
The invoice was $149,000.
And what's the address of the fire?
1820 Noble. And all of this is part of the invoice that we sent to the owners, which are in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, can I ask a question, Madam President?
Go ahead.
Did you come before council before you tore it down?
This was
Before the
declared an emergency.
contractor tore it down?
This was declared an emergency, and in the ordinance, in the codified, it says that if it is an extreme hazard, then we can act upon it to make sure that this is abated.
Hey, Tracy, because that's not what it says. Tracy, will you please read the ordinance? Tracy, are you there?
Yep, I'm pulling it up, Counselor. All right, 1313.11, authorization for departmental expenditures to abate a public nuisance. Under Part D, it stipulates where the estimated cost of abating the nuisance is greater than $7,500 and the owner has not paid to the city the estimated cost of abating the nuisance in the time prescribed in the notice, the Director of Community Development may authorize its abatement by the city upon the approval by ordinance of council.
But did you come to council? Because that's what the law says.
At this time, we didn't get council approval at that time because this was a project that needed to be abated.
Well, the law said it definitely have to come in front of council. This is something that.
Madam President, may I be heard?
Council President.
Let's have some order.
Yes, Council
Okay,
President.
everybody's gonna get their turn.
Thank you, Council President. I believe that our law director is on the line and she can clear this up. Sure, we know what the charter says. Willa, are you on the line, Willa?
Yes.
I was not done yet, Willa.
Let's Miss Gowdy, let's let Miss Gowdy finish.
Okay, sorry.
Go ahead, Councilor Gowdy.
Council, Clerk Tracy, could you please explain to the residents of that ordinance what it basically means?
What this is stipulating is that there should have been a notice put out, or the letter to the, basically what they did, they sent the letter to the owner and that, or a notice. Yeah, and then it just says that he can authorize it, but they had to do an ordinance before council. This is what section D is basically outlined, but there's other sections in there as well.
Tracy, did you get an ordinance?
It came down today.
I put that up, it should be on the screen.
It is on.
After it was torn down, Tracy?
Yes.
What was the date of this fire?
But the law said that you have to do that before it get torn down.
No, if I may.
And now you want us to pay $150,000.
Council President, can we hear from the law director of the city, please?
Councilor Gowdy, are you finished?
Yeah, she can try to say something about it, but I mean, you have, law is right here.
Thank you, Council.
I believe that what is applicable in this situation is 1313.10, the emergency abatement. If it is such an imminent danger to the immediate health and safety of the neighboring people and structures, then the community development director can immediately authorize a demolition. And that's emergency abatement. Okay, so I can read it. Whenever a public nuisance exists and the nature thereof constitutes an emergency as defined by Division B below, the city may take immediate action to abate the nuisance, and such abatement may take place without prior notice to the titled owner of the premises on which the public nuisance exists. Notice of the action taken to abate the nuisance shall immediately be sent to the titled owner by certified mail with a return receipt requisition. B, as used in the section, emergency means an unforeseen combination of circumstances which calls for immediate action in order to preserve the public health, safety, welfare, or property.
That's why they make the entire law, not just a
So
piece.
thank you for that, Law Director.
But you gotta
So,
continue going
Council
down, go
President,
down.
So Council President, this incident, this fire happened on a Sunday. As we know, you've heard me state this numerous times. Our fire EMS, they do over 7,000 runs a year. This happened Saturday night, Sunday. The fire chief at the time called me. I got 2 calls from firemen on duty asking me, Mayor, please, this is in imminent danger of collapse. It is going to fall on the house next to it. It is going to fall into Euclid. It is going to fall onto Noble Road. It was an emergency demo, which this charter that Willa, the law director, just went over, covers the way it was did, because my call was to Melran Leach in order to have this building taken down immediately. The amount of fires that we have here in the city and the fire department responds to, this in my tenure as mayor is the second time they call to ask for an emergency demo. Many of you remember the explosion over on West 25th. So this is the second time they've called and requested an emergency demo. And it was my pleasure, without even coming down to see it, to immediately get on the call to get this thing so that no resident or no car driving up and down Noble then became an accident waiting to happen with this. So that is how that happened. The second thing I'd like to mention with this, council, many of you have heard me state before, when I took office, we were over $5,000 in debt. $5 million in debt. 2.5 debt, 2.5 deficits, IOUs. Over my tenure, we have cleaned that up. We have pretty much, we paid all our IOUs, right? We are turning our credit around. We do not have any outstanding bills outside of 90 days. And I'm not sure if our finance director is on the call. He can chime in and let us know how important it is to pay your debt. Pay that if something happens and we need.
Mr. Mayor, now
I'm trying to get you to understand the importance of why we need to pay this. If something happens and we need another emergency demo,
Mr.
who can we
Mayor,
call to do it?
Mr. Mayor, you've stated your case, but you've gone on into paying bills and credit. So
Okay, so
I'd like to stay on the subject.
I will stay on the subject. Is there anyone else from the administration that would like to comment on the severity of this?
Well,
Mr.
May I
This is
elaborate
Melran
upon
Leach.
what the, okay. The 13.10 takes, oh,
Willa Hemmings,
sorry.
let Melron speak, because what you read for me doesn't give the mayor or anyone else authority to go past the council. I mean, I live up the street. How hard would it have been for you all to call or tell me to even come over there? So that's not going to work. So
Well, it doesn't require council.
And now we have to pay his friend
Melron,
$150,000.
Miss Gowdy, please hold still for a minute. Melron, let's finish with your presentation.
Yes, my stance is we have built up our credibility with contractors. I would hate to lose any contractor that looks at the city of when we call them to do a job for us, that they have to question and wonder if they're going to get paid.
Absolutely.
We have a number of contractors now that call me and want to know when our bids are going to happen, because we've built up a great credibility with contractors in and out. There's still contractors that won't and don't want to do business with the city, but it makes our cost a lot better, and we get the best cost savings when we have competition.
Yes.
This who tore this down is Mayor.
So I'd like to thank you for that. In closing, Council President, unless there's any questions or concerns, we brought down legislation to Council's office, right? So what I would like to ask Council, as you've heard this story, and as you know the trials and tribulations we've been through as a city financially and trying to get contractors. Remember, to do the work at the MLK, we had to put it in the paper twice. No contractors even wanted to bid on city work because of fear of getting paid being part of it. What I would ask from City Council is that from the floor tonight, you put this legislation on the agenda, that you amend the agenda tonight to put this on as a 2-read so that we can move to pay this contractor monies that are owed to him.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
No one has answered my question. When did this fire, maybe Chief Worley can tell me, when did this fire occur?
Last year.
It was in December, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It
As
was
the
in
mayor said,
December of 2020,
yes, ma'am.
and this is the second quarter, and we're in the second quarter of 2021. And you say this is an emergency and the council is just now receiving any information on this?
We can make it a 2-read. I would just like to get it on the agenda from the floor tonight.
Mr. Mayor.
Council to put it
Mr.
on
Mayor.
the agenda from the floor. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
It don't take 6 months for legislation to come from upstairs to downstairs. I
Mr.
mean,
Mayor.
the reality, Willa Hemmons, I have the floor, I believe.
Oh,
The
sorry.
reality here is that council, once again, has not been informed of what was going on. And money has been spent, I suppose, because oftentimes by the time we get the legislation, the bills have been paid. Is Charles on the line? Can he tell me if this bill is paid or what is going on here? Because this
bill has not been paid yet.
Well,
okay.
they didn't
But
go
this
through
is a continuum. This is a continuum of how we got into this whole financial thing with the budget from the first place. This is how we got there because of all of the bills that have been paid, all of the contracts that have come through the administrative office and not hit council's desk. For the last 2 weeks, I have been sending notices to the mayor's office with regard to things that need to be taken care of financially. Mr. Mayor, for you to bring this to council, I'm appalled at this. Council, you're gonna have to handle this. Because, I mean, it makes no sense. It doesn't take this long for legislation to come downstairs. I could see if it happened and it was on a Sunday and on Tuesday, we were notified. Cool. But months have gone past and you just now notifying us. This is bad business. This is just really bad business.
Madam Chair, may I be heard?
This is the mayor friend that did not come to council, and he supposed to have came to council before he tore that building down. This is not no excuse.
Madam Chair.
If I'm not mistaken.
Now we supposed to
this
just
was
pay his
sent
friend
down to
all this
council,
money?
And it was one of those legislations that was sent down.
Excuse me, Mayor,
never showed up on an agenda for property and contracts, never showed up on the agenda review.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Willa
Madam
Hold
Chair, may
on,
I be
hold
heard?
on, hold on.
Madam Chair?
Clerk,
Yes.
can you tell me when this came into our office?
Well, it was said that it came in today. I don't know. It did not come in while I was there. I was there from 8 a.m., 7:55 a.m. to 1 p.m. So
Madam Chair,
I don't know what.
may I be recognized?
Willa Hemmings, please. So it hasn't come in, it didn't come into the office and go to contracts and property at some other time, and it hasn't come into the office today, is what you're saying?
What I'm saying is this is the first time I'm hearing about it. And from my understanding, if I'm hearing it correct, it was brought to the office today. If it was brought to the office today, then it was after 1 p.m. when I left the office today.
Okay.
Because
Madam Chair, may I give
Willa
an update? May I
Hemmings,
be?
go ahead.
Okay, what happens is the law requires us to try to get the monies from the owner, this company Brew in Atlanta. So first of all, the law requires that we send them notice of the fire and of the amount. And then we have to wait until they either pay or they don't pay. So we were in the process of trying to get the money first from the owner. First, you're to contact the owner and tell them the situation, tell them that there was a horrific fire that endangered the lives and the structures of the people and the businesses in East Cleveland. And so during that interim time, they did not respond, despite the fact that we sent it by, we have to send it by certified mail. But in so far as it is an emergency, our current legislation 1313.10 does not require council approval, and the mayor is sending it to you as a courtesy. So it doesn't have to be approved by council to be paid.
Okay. All right. Council, what is your pleasure?
Madam Chairman, I have something I need to say.
Go ahead, Counselor.
Okay. Obviously, we're getting it kind of late, and hopefully, and I've been listening very attentively. The money from the owner, there's a possibility we'll get some of it. We may not get any at all. This property is not too far from GE. I don't know what it's called today. We need, the issue that I made note of was the roof collapsing. You saw the blaze. I looked at the documents. The roof collapsed.
Yes. Did she?
That was a big thing in that area. It was an emergency.
At the end of.
If Donald Trump, he's entitled to, everything may not have been followed because it's good for. I don't know what's going on with Bourne or the guy who owned the property in Atlanta, Georgia, but he hasn't done anything. Had issues over the last 10 to 15 years about the city not paying its bill.
Yes.
It's my hope. Property, maybe he has the money or maybe he does not have the money, but whoever tore the.
Mr. Martin, you're fading in and out.
Yeah, somehow you keep going back on mute.
Everything was a letter.
Can I make a comment, please?
as I looked at the documents we put on the screen, I made a note on 13.10 or 0.01.
Yes.
It did give you. Do we want to do the responsible thing? We don't always follow. The responsible.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Martin, you're fading in and out.
Then we need to make sure that we cross the T's and dot the I's. This is where I'm at. In December of last year, June, and whoever told.
Councilor Martin, you're fading in and out.
Period. That we can get some of the money back from the owner who owned the property. PE or whatever it's called, to that area. I'm glad that from the administration, whatever mistakes might have been, we do the responsible thing. So if we're going to maintain the credit, we need to think. If I
Mr. Martin, you are fading in and out. We cannot hear you.
So I read this stuff, and it's a different to myself. Get paid.
Mr. Martin, your microphone is moving.
Motion that I'm making a move. I move that we suspend Rule 9.
What?
Okay.
Mr. Martin.
Second.
Mr. Martin, hold up. Before you go to make
Hello, can you hear me?
Mr. Martin, first of all, half of what you said, nobody heard but you.
Oh, see,
that's the Zoom.
Okay, and I tried to tell you a couple things a couple times. And no, I didn't hear the motion. And how are we making them? How do we make?
Madam President, you didn't all this up and talking, and you couldn't hear what I said.
We heard your motion very clear, sir.
No, I didn't hear a motion or half of what you said.
I'm going to say this again. Okay,
Mr. Martin, please wait 1 minute.
Please. I'm up here talking, and you got me cut off.
No.
Please.
Nobody cut you off, Mr. Martin. You were moving around and
No,
your mic.
I'm sitting here. I'm sitting here.
Clerk, would you advise him that we couldn't hear half of what he was saying? That's number one. Number two, council, how are we going to make a motion to bring something to the floor to be paid? We don't even know who the vendor is.
I saw the vendor.
You might have saw it, Mr. Martin, but I haven't seen anything.
The vendor
and
is the mayor's great friend.
The council deserves to have the information. Enough of this.
Okay, first of all, you're saying I've been talking for about 10 minutes and you didn't hear half of what I said?
That's correct, Mr. Martin.
Well, then I need that opportunity to say it again.
Well,
Martin,
you're not the only one here, and we are in discussion. So you can't make a motion in the middle of the discussion when other people still want to talk.
That's what she was saying.
No, what I'm saying is.
That's fine. It's the noise.
This is the second time that I spoke, and all of a sudden,
Zoom crap.
Nobody hears what I say. Okay, and Justin is over here with the mouse, but I have a right to say what I was saying again because I'm thinking that people heard what I said. I'm frustrated by
She can
this.
hear you now.
So can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, they can hear
So do I have a chance to say it again?
yeah.
And make sure that if I'm right here, and if you ain't hear me, let me
Just say
know.
something, yeah.
And then, mute.
Wait a minute.
We
in the
were
background.
trying to say something. You could
So,
not hear.
Madam
You didn't hear
President?
me, and you didn't hear Victoria. So we tried to tell you we couldn't hear you.
Well, I'm sitting here and we didn't hear none of that.
No.
I'm sitting right here.
Mr. Martin, don't touch the mouse, don't touch anything or the keyboard and speak. For some reason, the microphone is getting cut off and going back on. Don't touch anything while you're speaking.
Okay, well, Justin has the mouse.
Yep,
And-
Justin, put the mouse down.
All right. So let me say what I need to say, or I'm just gonna leave because I'm frustrated by this. This second time this has happened to me.
Yeah, no, you were fading in and out, Mr. Martin. We were trying to tell you that.
Okay, let me know if you can't hear me. I'll try to go over.
We can hear you fine. Go
All
ahead,
right.
don't touch anything.
Okay, my concern is money from the owner. We need to do the best we can to get that money back.
We can sue him.
Okay, well, this is.
Come on, who's ever playing with the mouse over there?
He ain't even got no, he way over there.
The property is adjacent.
Uh-oh.
It is again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, for some
Probably put
reason,
the video on.
no,
Put the
yeah,
video
try
on.
to-
That's the service. Nate, it's the Zoom.
Now you know.
Okay, can I continue?
yes, but don't touch anything.
I don't have my hand on anything but my notes.
Okay,
And the roof collapsed. The flames were out of control. The place was a nuisance before it caught fire, and it caught fire. So,
your microphone just went off, Mr. Martin.
Look, it's on.
okay,
So can they hear you?
can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay, I mentioned
Now.
1313.01. All right,
0.10 out.
0.10. All right, and this is an emergency situation.
Yes.
So, taking in consideration that area, which is a good business area, I'm glad that the property was torn down as soon as it could be torn down. I'm concerned about the fact that we haven't been able to reach the owner to get some of the money back. And what I was saying, can you hear me?
yes, keep going.
What I was saying is if Donald Trump's corporation tore the property down, he has a right to be paid. Whoever tore the property down, they have a right to be paid. That's the whole issue here. If we made mistakes or if the administration made mistakes, that's not the key thing now. The key thing is for us to do the responsible thing. Now, over the last 4 or 5 years, our credit situation has improved. So what I'm saying, and I've cut a lot of what I said out, is that we need to pay this corporate entity for tearing it down. We need to do the best we can to get whatever we can. I think Bourne is the entity that owns the property, to get whatever we can from them. But this has been going on for a while. That is a mistake. However, can you hear me?
You can hear you fine, keep going.
Okay. We need to do the responsible thing. And that is, we need to pay the corporation that tore the property down because they did it. They did the work. You did the work. I did the work. Justin did the work. The guy who did the work. Okay? These procedural things that we have a tendency to sometimes make mistakes on, not just the administration, but the council, it's unfortunate. So what I'm saying is the responsible thing that needs to be done is that this entity needs to be paid. And then we work on trying to get as much money recovered from the Bourne entity that owns the property in Atlanta, Georgia.
Nate,
Okay, I'm still talking. No, you can't cut into me.
You
right
got to
now.
follow the law.
Okay, so
13.10.
Yeah. Well, and I thought about it, and I struggle with this, but I know that the responsible thing for us to do is to pay this entity. Okay? We need to do that. I like to make a motion to act on this on the legislation.
Mr. Martin, there are other people waiting to speak.
Yeah,
We are in
okay,
discussion.
before I'm going to yield, because after the other people speak, I like to make my motion. Thank you.
Okay, Tracy, could, Madam President, can I please say something, please?
Can I make a comment before everybody make their fourth and fifth
Could I
comment,
please
please?
say something, Madam President?
Counselor Gowdy, go ahead. Counselor Austin, you'll be
Yes.
next.
Point of order. We
disagree.
only supposed to have one time going around. My God, can somebody else please?
I disagree with everything that Councilor
Let's
Martin
go. Keep
saying,
breaking the rules,
because
man. I'm
if
about to
we
leave
have
this
to
meeting.
follow the law and the ordinance in our charter, and if he supposed to come before the council, and I don't care how, look all these houses we got out here need to be tore down and everything else. If he need to come before council, he need to follow the law like everybody else. And Tracy, please read that section again so he can.
It's the wrong section.
The whole entire section, so they can understand that the law have to be followed no matter what. We know, and I'm not saying that it never need to be torn down or anything. That's not my concern. But my concern is you did not do the proper procedure to come in front of council.
Didn't need to, it was an emergency.
And we have a problem. Willing him is, please, you break the law every day, please. And losing cases, stop it. Yeah, she did.
Counselor Gowdy, are you completed?
I'm asking Madam Clerk, please read section again so they understand how important it is to come in front of council so their labor will not be in vain.
Counselor, do you just want section D again, where it specifically says about
No,
the amount of money?
from A to D, because Willie Hemmons don't read it all. She give us what she want us to have.
That's the wrong section. 11
it's
is
not.
the
No,
wrong
it's
section.
not.
You do not have the floor.
Sorry.
Yeah, Ms. Hemmons read 1313.10, which was the emergency abatement. Right after that follows another section, 1313.11, authorization for departmental expenditures to abate a public nuisance. Part A, upon the failure of the owner of property to abate a public nuisance, after notice thereof, within the time prescribed in such notice, the Director of Community Development may authorize the abatement of the nuisance by the city in the manner set forth herein. B, where estimated cost of abating the nuisance is $500 or less, or where the property owner pays the city the estimated cost of abating the nuisance, regardless of the amount thereof, within the time prescribed in the notice, the Director of Community Development may authorize its abatement by the city without any additional approval. C, where the estimated cost of abating the nuisance is greater than $500, but less than $7,500, and the owner has not paid to the city the estimated cost of abating the nuisance in the time prescribed in the notice, the Director of Community Development may authorize its abatement by the city upon the written approvals of the Director of Finance, the Director of Law, and the Mayor. D, where the estimated cost of abating the nuisance is greater than $7,500, and the owner has not paid to the city the estimated cost of abating the nuisance in the time prescribed in the notice, the Director of Community Development may authorize its abatement by the city upon the approval by ordinance of council. E, regardless of the estimated cost of abating a public nuisance by the city as determined herein, the owner shall be responsible for payment to the city of the actual costs incurred by the city in abating the nuisance, if not abated by the owner within the time prescribed by the notice. Should the city's actual costs in abating such nuisance be less than the estimate, and the owner has paid to the city an amount equal to such estimate amount, then the city shall refund to the owner the amount of the difference. F, The Director of Community Development shall annually advise council in writing of those public nuisances abated by the city pursuant to this chapter and the cost thereof as to each property. Council may assess the same plus administrative costs upon the real estate from which a nuisance originated, where such costs have not been paid by the owner thereof to the city. That's it.
Thank you.
Section. You're welcome.
D actually said you supposed to come to council. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be tore down. I'm not I mean that, but you supposed to follow the law and follow council, come in front of the council. That's right. We cannot pay out $150,000 when you don't follow the law and the rules.
I think the question here is, should we bring this onto the floor, onto the agenda tonight?
That is what I'm asking.
I think that's the question. That's the question.
As a
Answer.
As a two read.
And because I haven't seen anything. The clerks don't have the information. And if you've waited 5 months, what's another week? I mean, it's been 5 months since this has gone on. And from what I'm hearing and the way this person has managed their property, if they were an absentee landlord and were not available anyway, I doubt very seriously how much money we're going to get back. Mayor King, go ahead.
Thank you, Council President. So I understand the concern. However, listening to the Community Development Director and listening to the Law Director and having a better understanding of the procedure in which this was supposed to take place, it has gone that way. So what they both stated is that we first have to reach out to the owners and try to seek payment for the abatement, right? That did not happen. Now it is coming in front of council because we have not been able to get money from, to date, we have not been able to get money from the owners. The reason I'm asking for it to go on tonight, not as an emergency, but as a to read, it's been 6 months, right? We're talking about a small business, a small local business by an East Cleveland legend, right? And I know it's over $100,000. He has employees to pay. He has bills to cover. We need to make sure we sustain local businesses, right? Nate Martin will remember this because he was on council when we had Fambro. I was on council with you and the administration refused to pay him. He came into council saying how the administration put him out of business because they wouldn't pay the IOU on it. Now we're in a position that I'm saying, let's pay this guy so he doesn't suffer a financial constraint that would force him to lose his business. Please, council, if you could put this on the floor, that is my ask. If you could put it on the agenda from the floor as a to read.
Mayor King, this is not just a regular guy. This is your
Mr. Austin. Mr. Austin had something to say. I'm sorry. Mr. Austin, are you there?
I am. I've heard the information from the law director, from our focused and driven community development director. And it is my clear understanding that we have to maintain a certain measure of responsibility and trust and accountability to those that do work in the city. This event took place, which was a catastrophic loss, and I'm glad nobody lost their life in this case. So it will be my recommendation that we really consider tonight adding this to the agenda so we can kind of move this forward in a way that, and more deliberation is possible, because that will give us 2 more opportunities to discuss this matter. And I know that everybody is seemingly passionate about how we move forward. So it is imperative that we take care of it. And that's why we came here. That's why I came here tonight, to make sure we take care of the business. So it is, and I did hear there was some discussion about the community development director being within his right to abate the property and the city being responsible for going after the owner respectfully to seek the reciprocity So with that said, that would be my recommendation that we do add this to the agenda tonight and that we have 2 more opportunities to discuss it for future concern. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Well, my question becomes, what's the difference between adding it to the agenda tonight and the and it going through the council normal process to be added to the agenda? Because
This is a part of council's
because-
normal process.
No,
This is
no,
how-
it's not. No, it's not. If for it to be a part of council's normal process, it should have been in the office on Friday. So
Right,
that it
but
could have
it's
been
in the
added to
contract
the
of
agenda. So that it could have been added to the appropriate space and then moved to the agenda. That's the proper procedure. I am,
You know,
let me finish, Mr. Austin. This is not something that occurs once or twice. This is something that occurs constantly. Constantly, council is left out of the mix when it comes to what's going on in the city. And that's where there's a breakdown. Constantly, council doesn't get the information until after the fact. And here again, we're spending money or being asked to approve an expenditure of dollars that we have no knowledge of. How is it as a council that, how are you spending money and you have no knowledge of any other background other than what we've seen here tonight? But we're expected to bite this and drag it on to this agenda. So that it can accommodate somebody, but it's not following protocol. This council has continually usurped its own authority. Constantly. You have a charter that you're not following your charter, you're not following processes, or you don't have any processes in place. I don't know what to tell you at this juncture. Okay?
President, I'd like to say something else too. We don't meet for another 2 weeks. I think it'll be the first Tuesday in June.
Yes.
And I'm looking at it from a corporate standpoint, the importance that if this corporation tore the property down, they haven't been paid in 6 months. We don't know if we're going to track down the owner. I think the owner is born for what I was reading. Then we need to move it up. So when we get ready to vote on it, we can't vote on it now, that we're ready to either vote it up or vote it down. That's why I like to move to suspend Rule 9. That's so we can move on this thing, and in 2 weeks, everybody, in 2 weeks, people have all the time they have to talk to Charles, talk to all.
Mr. Martin,
What?
Mr. Martin, your point is well taken, but that's not the process, Mr. Martin, and that's what the problem is here. The problem is that the process continually, over and over, is usurped. The council's authority is usurped. Our bills are not what they say they are. People are doing what they want to do, not what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, you.
Was there a second to that motion, to Mr. Martin's motion?
Yes, there was.
Willie Hemmings, this is a council
I was
meeting,
wondering,
and
I
you
know,
are
I was wondering if I
not
heard
the
of
chair,
Hemmings,
Willie
you got us
Hemmings.
$100 million.
You are not
didn't
the
hear
chair
it. I
of
was
the
just
council
wondering
meeting.
if I had
Point
missed
of
something.
order.
I was
Point
just
of
Willie
wondering if
Hemmings,
I
you
had
got
missed
us
something.
$100
Ladies and
million in
gentlemen,
debt. Please
the
be quiet.
item,
There was a
I-
motion
You
on
ain't
the
got
floor.
nothing to say to.
There was a motion on the floor. I was wondering if I had missed it.
I made a
Mr.
You got us
Second.
$100 million in debt, Willie Hemmings. Please be quiet.
Anita Gowdy, you need to stop using council meeting to hurl insults. Be professional.
Willie Hemmings, I do from
Miss
you.
Gowdy, Miss Gowdy.
That came from a citizen. Thank
Miss
you.
Gowdy.
That came from a citizen. This is ridiculous.
Yes,
you
it is
ridiculous?
ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
It's a motion on the
Mr.
floor.
Smith. It's
It's
no
a motion
motion
on
on
the
the
floor.
floor.
Stripper?
You can't force a motion to the floor, Mr. Smith.
If he can second
Councilman
it.
Martin
This member
placed
can
a
make a
motion
motion.
on the floor.
Mr. Martin has
Yeah,
we've
on the
already discussed the motion.
Stripper and
So,
talk.
I
Who
didn't
is
hear a
Carolyn?
second.
Who is
Second.
So
Carolyn
there's been a
Cole?
second?
It's been
Second.
motioning and
Councilman
seconded.
Austin, second.
It's been motioning and seconded. This is, oh my God.
Now you are chairing the meeting, Mr. Smith?
Robert's Rules of Order.
I didn't say, I'm quiet. This is not
Excuse me.
a dictatorship. I know that. I know it's a motion on the floor, and I know it's a second, and I know you keep cutting people off.
Mr. Smith, if nobody can hear.
You're talking about
how
following
can-
rules.
how-
You haven't
Mr.
followed
Smith,
rules since you've been
Mr.
on
Smith,
council.
you don't have the floor. Point of order.
Yeah, I bet I don't, because you don't want to hear what I
you
have to
don't
say.
have the floor. Point of order.
Thank God the people see what's going on.
Mayor King, I would appreciate it in the future if you would respond to the council timely. This was not timely. This is 6 months of nonsense. They should have been, whenever this fire was, the next week, council should have had this information. It's just that simple.
Everybody
Now they
knew
want to
about
bring
the,
it to,
demo.
now you want to bring it to the floor.
13.
I'm going to acquiesce, Mr. Smith, you do not have the floor, and I'm going to put it, I'm going to let the motion go through. But I'm
You don't have a choice.
tired, I'm
You don't
tired
have a
of
choice.
this
What
kind
you
of
mean you gonna let it go
activity.
through? You don't have a
Mr.
choice.
Smith, you
It's
are
been
out of
motioned and
order.
seconded.
You are out of order, and I'm not even speaking to you. I'm talking to the mayor.
I'm in order for
This
the
is
people.
the second or
I'm
third
in
time
order
we
for the
had to
people.
go through something
There's a
like
motion
this,
on the
Mr.
floor.
Mayor. And that's
There's a
not,
motion on the floor.
6 months is ridiculous. If you
There
would be
is
quiet,
a
Mr.
motion on
Smith,
the floor. Let's
if you
follow
would
the
be
rules.
quiet, Mr. Smith, you should have heard what I said, but you
There
won't be
is a
quiet,
motion
so
on the
stop
floor.
talking.
Let's follow the
Mayor
rules.
King, please do not come back to the council with anything else
Dictator.
like this. Thank you. Clerk,
Mayor, I
call
think
the
you've been
roll.
chastised.
It's not about chastise, it's about a history.
I
That's what
trust
this is, a
Melran, Leach,
history, Ms.
period.
Hemmings, of non-compliance with the charter. There is a history here. This didn't start today, and it's not, it seems like it's never gonna end. So yes, I have plenty to say about it. It's a following of the charter. You have laws and regulations that you are supposed to follow as a city, and it's not happening. Clerk, call the roll.
She mad.
Who made the second on the motion?
Councilman
you.
Austin,
Thank you. Counselor Stevenson,
Nay.
Counselor Gowdy, Counselor Gowdy, Counselor Gowdy, are you there?
Hold on a minute. They both got booted out. They're trying to get back online.
Thank you.
Go ahead, clerk, call the others, please.
Counselor Martin, Counselor Smith,
Yay.
Counselor Austin.
yay.
Okay.
So we'll let them get back online and do what they got to do.
Let them get back online. Please do
Yeah,
not vote
give them
on
a
the
minute.
phone.
They kicked out the cord by accident out of the wall. They have to reboot the computer.
Wow.
Please do not vote on the phone like you did September 1st.
No, I'm getting them
Without
back on. I'm
without
getting them back
audience.
online, sir. Hold on.
Thank you, because we do not want a repeat of September 1st with certain council members voting on the phone without the presence of the residents. So please,
Take your
let's wait
complaint- take
for
your
our
complaint
colleagues
to
to
the
get back
Supreme Court
online,
of Ohio,
please.
sir.
Y'all killing me with all this personal because you all don't like the contractor. It's a shame.
Give them
Pay
one
that
moment,
man.
sir. I just talked to him. The computer's booting right back up.
I don't care if it was Donald Trump was the contractor. That building,
I'll be right with you.
man, this is ridiculous.
Donald Trump, Donald Duck, anybody deserves to be paid.
People crazy. Always trying to feel directed the rules. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Woman can't even read.
Yeah, unfortunately, the one computer in the office they're using, the cord is very touchy. And if they move it the wrong way, this is what happens.
Oh, appreciate your assistance.
No problem.
And like you said, I have to bring it to the agenda. I do, and I will do it. I will do it. They don't know about it. Exactly.
Ms. Wright, could you mute your microphone? Are they coming back on, or should we move on and let them
Yeah.
vote when they get back on?
Yeah, everything is loading up on that computer. They somehow they knocked the whole thing out.
Yeah, that's wait.
All right, I just had them refresh it all because it didn't want to hook up to the internet, and it seems to be finding everything now. So they're getting there.
Could have had this discussion at the. Could have had this discussion on the agenda review meetings if they all wasn't being canceled. How the people gonna have all the proper information if all the meetings keep getting canceled?
Clerk, I think we're gonna have to move ahead. They're gonna have to catch up when they come in.
Ain't it more than one computer in the office? Maybe they can go to
Yeah.
another terminal.
Yeah, but you can't, I don't know. I don't know why even in the office.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with them. I just know they knocked themselves out. They really
Right.
knocked out everything out of the wall.
And we've
They
been
wasn't
sitting here
agreeing.
15 minutes. We need to
Nobody.
let them, we need to let them catch up when they come
Right.
in.
Yeah, 'cause they keep
Because
that
we need to,
electric line is horrible next to that
yeah,
one
but we
wall.
need to move this agenda, and then when they
Yep.
come in, they can vote.
Okay, so outside of that motion suspending Rule 9 for the legislation,
No, he didn't. Did he suspend Rule 9? I thought we voted to bring it to the floor. I
Yeah,
mean, to put it on the agenda.
that was to suspend Rule 9.
that was, the motion was to suspend Rule 9 first.
Okay, well, let's hold that and keep move
Right.
to legislation till they get, because I don't know what's gonna happen.
We're on now.
Hello?
Was that Counselor Martin?
I said, I thought it was.
It sounded like him.
Well, they disappeared again.
Okay. So my question is, outside of the discussion with this motion, with that, is that the end of the reports and announcements of the mayor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, subject to any questions or concerns. Thank you for your extra time there, Council President.
Okay, we can move to receipts of communication. Let me just bring up the agenda. We have a few receipts of communication and communications. The first is from Jen Boger, and this is the Financial Disclosure Coordinator of the Ohio Ethics Commission. We received a reminder for the 2020 Financial Disclosure Statement filing deadline of Monday, May 17th, 2021. Next, we received a notice from the Division of Liquor Control, and this notice is for a liquor license for Brooks Beverage located at 2223 Noble Road. We also received information from Deanne Bell from the Salvation Army, and this is in regards to how people can get free computers. It's an entire packet. It also includes income guidelines. So if council wants extra copies of that to pass out, please let me know. And lastly, we received an advertisement from Air Products. Air Products is the operators of our pipelines in our jurisdiction. Pipelines are underground. This advertisement was in regards to the nationwide 811 phone number, and it's a call before you dig phone number. If you're digging in your ground as far as gardening or contractors as well, and they would be able to give you information on where those structures are located. As far as reports from council committees, our next scheduled regular council meeting is going to be June 1st at 6:30. And we could start with personnel and appointments. Councilor Smith, is there a report for your committee? Councilor Smith, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. As our clerk stated, I humbly chair the Personnel and Appointments Committee. The Personnel and Appointments Committee responsibility is to look at personnel in all city departments, in 9 city departments: finance, fire, HR, IT, police, law, building and housing, service, and community development. In November 2020, council reviewed department staffing needs in its budgetary hearings. What came out of those hearings was the fact that the city is short-staffed and relies upon outside professional services to fill many personnel and service needs to serve the people. On May 6th, that was a Thursday at 5:30 p.m., the Personnel and Appointments Committee met in a special Personnel and Appointments Committee meeting. Before that, we had met on April 27th, and we still had a few unresolved issues. 30-21 is a court ordinance to amend section 123-08 of the East Cleveland Codified Ordinances to increase the applicant pool for fire and police chief positions and to give the city the ability to hire an outside applicant. Unfortunately, a lot of our administrative staff was out, so we had an opportunity to hear from the police chief and the fire chief. At our upcoming personnel and appointments meeting, we hope to have the opportunity to hear from not only our police and fire chief again, but from our mayor, because this piece of legislation is requested by our mayor, which is still in committee. Also, we discussed ordinance number 31-21, and we really just had a discussion with a resident, Cassandra McDonald, about possibly changes in the charter regarding the Civil Service Commission. I was very, very saddened, upset, and all those type of adjectives about the fact that it seems we are no longer having agenda review meetings. We had the consensus to move ordinance number 31-21 to the agenda review, but upon finding out that there is no agenda review, which would have been Thursday, I wanted to keep ordinance number 31-21 in committee because I feel that we need every meeting we can get to discuss this ordinance, because if passed, it will be going to the people to be voted on. So I feel that ordinance number 31-21 should be discussed any chance that we get. So that was basically the last personnel and appointments. Again, our next personnel appointments committee meeting will be on the last Tuesday of this month. We will be discussing those very 2 ordinances that I brought up. Also, we discussed the appointments or the future appointments of 2 members, 2 residents to the board, to the Civil Service Commission, which we are voting on tonight. With that, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, my council colleagues, but most importantly, thank you to the residents of East Cleveland. That concludes the Personnel and Appointments Committee. And please, remember, each committee meeting is very, very, very important. Just as important, if not more important than the regular council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Smith. Next, we have Counselor Austin, General Services and Administration.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. The General Services Administration meeting has not met for the month of May yet. So during the last meeting, we did discuss the East Cleveland Community Cleanup. And we had several folks, actually, I don't know if it was by chance, but they actually got out there and did their own cleanups in their yards and along their streets. And several of the larger items that the service department said they would pick up, they actually got those things picked up. And unfortunately, after the cleanup was over or the 3-day cleanup period had elapsed, I see a lot of the larger items starting to pop back out there on the street. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna take a look at some of the other things we discussed during our last meeting that was relevant. And we wanted to make sure that as we start looking at cleaning up the streets and the city, we also want to make sure we clean up some of the parking areas within the city's administration's footprint. So there was a list of vehicles that were to be displaced, and that legislation should be on tonight's agenda, so we get those things taken care of. It is imperative that we as council kind of take a look at what we can do to influence the recovery and or cleanup of our footprint, which we discussed in a meeting. So as we get closer to where we need to be, there was some other legislation that pertains to the city street, resurfacing of Shaw Avenue in front of the stadium, which was, I think it was $135,000 that was expected to be funded out of the general fund. And recently I received some information that those dollars would actually come from the Community Development Block Grant Fund. I would like the mayor to tell us a little bit more about that. But after speaking with the Director of Community Development, Melran Leach, today, he had informed me that there was some additional dollars in the Community Development Block Grant Fund that would not impact the list of folks that are on the paint program list, electrical repair list, as well as the roof list and those other services that are required and provided in support of the Community Development Block Grant dollars. So since that did not influence those dollars, I was a little bit more able to accept the change in the color of money. And when I say the color of money, there is certain appropriations that we anticipate being taken care of a certain way as a responsibility as a member of council. We advise where the resources are and how they will be applied to accomplish the things that provide for your, to use Councilor Smith's gesture, health, interest, rights, and needs. So that's one of the things that we discussed, and I wanted to like to also have Melran Leach kind of give us a little bit more background on the funding after the fact. So, so as we get a little bit closer to some of the legislation that's out here tonight, you'll see it came from, sponsored by, or presented by Councilman Austin, and those are the things that we discussed in our meetings. We're way behind with our time, so I'm not gonna belabor the point, but the next General Service Administration meeting will be, Madam Clerk, if you could help me, I really appreciate it.
Yes, it will be May 20th at 5:30 p.m.
Great, thank you very much, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Next, we have Finance Committee. And I'm showing actually that the May 20th meeting was changed. That meeting will be held on May 25th at 5:30. Councilor Stevenson, do you have a report for your Finance Committee?
No, I don't have a report at this time because we need to have a meeting.
We have no proclamations or bids at this time. So we'll go to legislation.
Are they, clerk, have they come back in yet?
Nope, they can't get on. I told them to call in on their phones to dial those numbers in, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Can somebody from the mayor's office go down and help them out?
Okay, on my way down.
Thank you, sir.
Because I don't want to go all the way through this legislation and then have to come back.
We all know that was done on purpose.
There's actually that one plug that's right next to my desk is so touchy, and that's where everything connects. I myself have accidentally knocked it out. The electricity in the council office is horrible.
Well, if they're out.
You said 216.
Maybe just come up to the mayor's office and, finish the rest of this meeting socially distanced and mask protected.
If they're even still in the building. Clerk, have you spoken to them?
Yeah, a couple of minutes ago, and they couldn't, the computers will now not find the internet. So they really did something this time to the computer. So I told them to just dial in on their cell phones.
Council. So I just left from downstairs. It's a beautiful thing. Nate actually went home and got his laptop. They're hooking the laptop up now. They should be on shortly.
Clerk, can
Thank
we
you,
go through,
sir.
can we go through these first reads?
Sure.
Because otherwise,
Yeah.
whew, we're gonna be here all night.
We have resolution 29-21, an ordinance to authorize the mayor to enter into lease or purchase agreements for the acquisition of city vehicles for use by the police department. 2 units of the 2021 Chevrolet Tahoe 4x4 PPV vehicles, including upfit packages at $15,425.35 for $107,428.70 in total on the terms and conditions reflected in Exhibit A attached here too. This is requested by Mayor Brandon L. King, sponsored by Juanita Gowdy, Council Vice President, and this is a first read. Next, we have Resolution 39-21, an ordinance to authorize the mayor to enter into lease or purchase agreements for the acquisition of a city vehicle for use by the Department of Service, a Silverado 4-wheel drive crew cab work truck for a total of $64,986.64 on the terms and conditions reflected in Exhibit A attached here too. This is requested by Mayor Brandon L. King, sponsored by Juanita Gowdy, Council Vice President. And those are the 2 first reads. We can, this ordinance 32-21.
Can I make a comment about those vehicles?
Sure.
Well, Mr. Austin, we're gonna be here all night as it is.
No, we're not, because this is definitely something that would benefit us. As I've
Well,
been doing
but
my due
this is,
diligence.
but this is
No,
Ms. Gap.
This is something that we all need to know so we can get better as council folks. So if you could be so
But
kind as to allow me to.
Mr.
just a
Austin,
minute.
this is Ms. Gowdy's stuff. So
But-
just let it lay. Can we move on to the next ordinance?
Let me talk to, I won't talk about those 3 specific vehicles, but I will talk about city vehicles that would give us a tax benefit if
But
we
Mr. Austin,
correctly
that's
mark
not
and
where,
identify
Mr.
those
Austin,
vehicles.
that's not where we are. I'm trying to get through this so that when they come back in, we can all vote and go home. Okay?
Okay, please let me have this second, because this is an opportunity
Mr.
that,
Austin,
we
but
don't
this
always
is
think
not,
about these small things.
Mr. Austin, this is not your issue. This is Ms. Gowdy's issue. That's what I'm saying to you.
Well, let me
This
make it
is
my
all
issue. I
of
would
our
like to
issue.
sponsor.
You want to be a co-sponsor? Is that what you're saying?
I will co-sponsor the vehicle for the service department. That's correct. So make sure that
Thank
we
you.
get this right, so we
Thank
don't have
you.
to keep on. And can I speak on the issue now, please?
Why do you need to speak here? We trying to get through this, okay?
Is she
Can we go
serious?
to the next?
Let
Can
me
we
share
go
something.
to the
Get
next?
better. Get better.
This is not your
Let me,
issue.
hello.
Let Ms. Gowdy
This is
speak
an
on
issue
it,
that you
Mr.
raised. Do you remember that?
No, I didn't raise this, sir.
Councilwoman, let me share something with you.
I didn't raise this,
Let me
sir. We
finish,
just
and
need to let them vote when
let me
they
make it
come back
relative to you.
in. I
We ain't
try to
talking about
run the
no vote.
meeting so that everybody can speak, Mr. Austin. And this is Ms.
Well,
Gowdy's item. And when she comes back in, if she wants to speak about it, let her speak about
So
it, okay? That's all I'm saying to
you want
you,
to take
is
a
that
vote on it?
she's
Because
the sponsor. We're not
this is a
voting on
relevant
this.
point that I'm trying to make. By the
We're
time
not
you get
voting
through
on
talking,
this,
I could have
Mr.
made my
Austin.
point. The
Mr. Austin,
problem,
we're
I
not
don't want to vote.
voting.
I want to tell you that, Councilwoman Stevens, let me share this note for the benefit of the order. Is that okay? Because by the time you doing all
Mr.
this talking, I could have
Austin,
just said,
why is it that you
if the
need to
vehicles are,
share a note on Miss Gowdy's issue?
this ain't about Miss Gowdy. I don't care
I don't
nothing
think,
about that. Let me tell you something. Let me finish,
well,
please.
but
If you allow
if
me this
that's
one
the case,
opportunity,
if
I
you're
really,
not going to address these two issues, Mr. Austin, is that what you're saying to me?
I'm a co-sponsor. I'm telling you that since I'm sponsoring this piece of legislation, I would like to talk about what's relevant so that the city can continue to benefit by way of, if you properly mark the vehicles. You seen that the audit that was sent down, and it talked about having the opportunity to get additional tax benefit if we properly mark city vehicles. There are several vehicles that are not properly marked, and therefore we cannot take advantage of the percentage of the vehicle that is tax deductible simply because it's not properly marked. So as we get these vehicles in, if we go through the process and make that a part of the system in which we incorporate vehicles in the future, that they will be marked before that driver sits in the driver's seat. And then that way that we know we're getting the tax benefit that we should receive by simply marking the vehicles as they come off the assembly line or at delivery.
Okay, but
And
Mr.
that's
Austin, I think that's out of context, because they weren't talking about
we get a
all
new
city
vehicle.
vehicles. They were talking
No,
about a specific vehicle, Mr. Austin.
no,
And I don't
that's the
want to
way
address
you
that
took it.
at this time,
It's more than one
okay?
person to take their
But you
vehicle home. It's more
made
than
your
one person to take their
statement.
vehicle home. See?
You made your statement. So clerk, can we move
And it's
to
clear.
the last mental health
This is
situation?
terrible. Hold on 1 second. This is not really the way this is supposed to go. So if there is a relevant point that would benefit
Mr.
the residents,
Austin,
whether it's a few
you made
dollars
your
benefit or
statement.
otherwise,
You made your statement, Mr. Austin.
and you try to make it more cloudy by making it unclear.
I'm
So I
not
just want to
making it
make sure the
unclear.
information I'm providing
Look
to the
at the
people for their
information,
benefit is clear. I did, and that's
Point
why
of
I'm
order.
addressing this right
Point
now
of
because
order,
the
Mr.
opportunity presented
Austin.
itself.
Can the
I'm
clerk,
done, and I'm
can we
thankful.
move the agenda?
Check
Thank
yourself,
you.
and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I just got a text message. They can't even get on with the laptop. They cannot find the internet. Something really happened. So they said, just go ahead and proceed.
Don't they have cell phones? No disrespect to anyone, but don't
Right,
they
I
have?
just told them that. I'm trying to get a hold of them because if they called me, I could hold their cell phone up to the speaker on my computer so everybody can hear them.
Can you please tell them, I asked them if they would kindly go up to the mayor's office so we can vote on behalf of the people?
Okay,
I
let me
just
try
went
getting a
down
hold of
there.
them.
I just went down there and told them
Thank
they
you.
could come up. I just went down there. They had a new laptop that they were opening up and setting up.
Unfortunately, they can't get the
purpose.
laptop working
This was done
either,
on
Mayor.
I'll go check on them one more time.
I think we just need to go ahead because time is it? Clerk, do you have the time?
I have 8:24 p.m.
Oh, Lord. Okay, I think we just need to move this agenda because all of this is too much.
Well, next we have the ordinance 32-21. And this ordinance was withdrawn by the administration. They presented new legislation that will be discussed in Councilor Austin's committee.
Okay,
Okay, basically the funding for this has changed from the general fund. It will be funded through CDBG dollars.
okay, that's cool.
Okay, and then the other two are second reads. Well, four. The other four are second reads.
Well, we got a quorum, so we still have a quorum, so we can go ahead.
Okay, we have 33-21. This is a resolution. I'm sorry, what was that? Oh, okay. No wonder I didn't understand that. Okay, we have a resolution 33-21, a resolution authorizing the mayor to sell certain inoperable surplus vehicles through auction to scrap dealers or to sell the salvage city vehicles through competitive offers. And if none is forthcoming, to junk pursuant to appropriate health and safety regulations in order to provide for safe access upon city workspaces. This is requested by the fire department, sponsored by Timothy Austin, Counselor at Large, and this is a second read.
Call the roll.
No
You gotta say this ordinance. Yeah, I guess I'll have some discussion.
Go ahead,
This is
Mr.
the
Austin. It's
opportunity
your
to clean up.
time to talk.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
This, great. This is an opportunity for us to clean up some of our city workspaces, disposing of some of the vehicles that have been, wrecked, inoperable, not required by any of the sections within the city, and giving the opportunity for the city to recoup some of the resources that may be provided in the event that these items actually sell at auction and or are displaced in a way that it may give the general fund a little boost. And as you ride down Shaw Avenue, you can see about 4 or 5 vehicles in the fire department's lot that have been crashed or what have you. And a lot of those vehicles are now parked in the service department area up where they do the trash, or they used to do trash transfer. And if you want to kind of cruise these areas prior to the auction and or disposal of those vehicles, the council is welcome to do so. So this is an opportunity to follow on with our cleanup that we started on May 8th. Thank you.
Clerk, call the roll.
Counselor Stevenson,
Nay.
Counselor Smith,
Yay.
Counselor Austin,
Yay.
resolution 33-21 failed.
Nah, man, we should be waiting. This is why, you know what? Never.
The mayor sent out an email, Mr. Smith, that states that he went down to the council office and the office is empty. Everyone is gone.
So I got my hand up, Council President.
Go ahead, Mayor King.
So yes, when Councilman Austin asked me to go down there, they were just setting up a computer, a laptop, and Nate said he went home and got it. And they were kind of excited. It was 3 people in the office. And I just went back down there, all the lights off, office is closed, the building maintenance guys saying that they left like 5 minutes ago. And I'm just like, well, it was just setting up the computer, now they're gone. I don't know. He said they went out, they were kind of fussing and they left. So I'm not sure. It would be my suggestion that, I don't know, I would hold the rest of the legislation, but it's your meeting. I'm sorry. Thank you, Council President.
Well, that, Mr. Mayor, is sort of my thinking also, but I don't know what my colleagues would like to do. Did we finish the vote? You said the legislation didn't pass, clerk?
That's correct.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I don't hear any.
Well, let's do this because it is.
Go ahead, Mr. Austin.
pieces of legislation are not being allowed to benefit the people for reasons that are unexplainable. So if it is the pleasure of the rest of my cohorts, if you will, I'm okay with not provide any of my effort for in an instance where there's no fruit. So if you have made up your mind, Councilwoman Stevenson, that there's going to be no fruit in the meeting today, then you could just say that and we'll just close it out and call it good.
Well, no, what I'm saying to you is that the other two counselors are not here, and to give them an opportunity to vote is what I'm saying, that maybe we should wait. I don't know. That's up to you all.
Yes, we should wait. This happened before and certain council members didn't wait. Let's do the right thing this time. Let's wait.
That's fine. Somebody needs to put a motion on the
We in
floor.
court and everything because certain council members didn't want to wait. Let's wait. We all know.
Counselor Smith, let's put a motion on the floor and move forward.
Can I make another suggestion?
Mayor King.
Thank you, Council President. I love that idea. I totally agree with it. I would ask council that you go back to resolution 3321, rescind the vote so that it comes back to you as a second read the next time it comes in front of you, so that nothing has been voted on tonight. As it stands, this has failed, and I think that council should rescind the vote and leave it so that next time everyone gets to weigh in on it. It is the second read, and then we're done with it.
Can we have a motion on the floor and a second to do whatever it is we need to do?
I'd like to make a motion to rescind the vote.
I can't hear you,
No,
Councilor Austin.
I would like to make a motion to rescind resolution number 33-21.
To rescind the vote, sir.
Right, to rescind the vote.
Correct.
That's Counselor Austin.
Get motion.
Yes, that was Councilor Austin.
It has been, but it's staff.
Counselor Smith, is there a second?
Counselor Smith is second.
Clerk, call the roll.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yay.
Counselor Smith,
Yay.
Counselor Austin.
Yay.
The motion to rescind the vote on resolution 33-21 to a second read status has passed.
Thank you.
We need another motion, ladies and gentlemen.
33. Okay.
Adjourn the council meeting 8:33 p.m.
I can't hear you.
We need another motion, Mr. Austin. We can't just adjourn. We need a motion to push this back to the next meeting or something.
I thought we already did that. That's the motion we just
No.
made to rescind that
No.
vote.
We rescinded the vote on 3321. That does not address the remainder of the legislation on this agenda. Fading out, Mr. Austin.
Okay, so now I'm back to the meeting. Now, you say we need a motion to say again?
Can't hear you, Counselor Austin.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I can't hardly hear y'all. Okay.
We need a motion. We need a motion to suspend the legislation to the next meeting or to another date or something of that nature.
Do you want to do a special council meeting?
Actually, you want to make a
We're gonna have
motion due
to.
to technical difficulties You want to move all the second read legislations to the next meeting for proper dispensation, disposal on them.
Proper execution.
Right.
Okay, Mr. Austin, there's your motion.
There you go. I'd like to make a motion to move all of the second read legislation to the next meeting for proper discussion and as necessary for final vote.
I second.
Clerk, call the roll.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yay.
Counselor Smith,
Yay.
Counselor Austin.
Yay.
The motion to move all second read legislation, well, I'll say this. Due to technical difficulties, the motion to move all second read legislation
Pass.
has passed.
One more motion, you guys, and we're done.
Motion to adjourn.
Right.
Well, I don't
Need a
really want a
motion.
motion to adjourn. I feel, Madam President, Madam Floor, I know you want to get out of here, but I feel the people should have a chance to express themselves, whether they want to step on our necks, whatever they want to say or do. I feel the people should have their 3 minutes. That's just my opinion.
We have remarks and requests of the public.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome.
Are there any remarks of the public?
Mr. Martin is on there. I see Mr. Martin now.
Are you asking for a remark to the public or are you asking
Yes.
for issues?
Remarks of the
that we're
public.
having in our neighborhood?
What is going on with the dog? This is for remarks of the public. Is there any remarks of the public?
Yes, I'd like to speak, please.
Or what?
What's your name and address, please?
My name's
Pardon me?
Kim from Eddie Road. Yes, I'd
Go
like to
ahead.
speak. I'd like to speak about the loud music that seems to be present everywhere in East Cleveland from vehicles. I don't mean normal car stereos. I'm speaking on these outrageous sound systems people put in their cars, like huge speakers in their trunks and whatnot, and they go up and down the streets all day long. If there is an ordinance on the books, there needs to be a stronger one because it's getting out of hand. And with the warmer weather coming, it's already starting to escalate. When they pass by my home, my windows in my home shake. And that's ridiculous. I feel like 90% of the city is being held hostage by 10% that's roaming around the streets or driving up and down the streets with these ridiculous sound systems in their vehicles. So at some point, I wish the council would address that issue. Thank you.
My name is Linda Wright, and I have a remark concerning on Coit Road, where the farmers market is taking over 1274 to my address at 1303 Coit, planting fruit trees that will definitely attract deer and other rodents in my area. This is a resident area, and those type of things should not be right here in this area because they're gonna attract rodents and everything else. I also have a issue with RETA taxes. I am currently working from home in the city of East Cleveland. Cleveland faithfully takes out my local taxes every paycheck. I am now being garnished by the city of East Cleveland because East Cleveland does not offer any type of discount or anything else concerning RETA taxes. I am working from home in the city of East Cleveland, and Cleveland is getting all of the taxes, and East Cleveland is demanding it as well. I have a call into all of our ordinances, the Governor DeWine, Lieutenant. a representative because I am being double taxed. And I would like this to come onto the agenda where I can get some sort of discount from the city of East Cleveland. And my name is Linda Wright, and I reside at 1303 Coit Avenue.
Good evening, Council. Kelvin Irby, 14208 Elm Avenue. I heard Mr. Austin speak about the list for homes to be repaired, and I'm pretty sure that my name was on the list of emergency listing for home repairs, and yet to this date, I still haven't heard anything from a paint program, a porch program, and I would like to know, how is that in order, or where was my name or those who had the name listed before to receive paperwork on to develop or rebuild their home? Somebody can get in touch with community development or those in community development. Let me know where are our standings and our names on that list, because I see other people that are getting their homes repaired. Thank you.
And I cannot, again, Linda Wright, I cannot get my home repaired or keep it up to proper standing if I have a garnishment and a lien against my home from RETA taxes. It's impossible. What it is called poverty by taxation. And that's what's happening to me.
Are there any other remarks of the public?
My name is Carla Clark, and I live on 6th Avenue, and I'd like to concur with Kim that the loud music is just ridiculous.
Motorcycles and cars just roll up and down 6th Avenue with no enforcement. It needs to be stopped.
Yes.
Day and night.
I live at 13611 6th Avenue. Thank you.
Any other remarks of the public? Hearing none.
That's the way the winner of the
Clerk.
Next, we have response of council and mayor to the remarks of the public.
Mayor King.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to thank you once again for allowing me the time tonight. Seems like Councilman Martin is in the chat room. I'm not sure how he's in the chat room, but we can't hear him. I'd like to thank you for allowing the presentation regarding the fire on Noble Road. And I strongly urge council as a body to move and do everything necessary to get this minority contractor paid. In regards to the residents' remarks, loud music, please, I need you to help us help you. The chief of police is on the line, and I want to tell a brief story in regards to last week. There was a neighbor that called about a neighbor across the street playing music 2, 3, 4 in the morning. We have to get the call in to the police department. And if you could get us some information that would help us go address it. So we sent the police, community police, to the resident's house to talk to the resident about the complaints that neighbors and other residents on the street were having in regards to the loud music. He apologized to his neighbors, and hopefully that's the end of it. We haven't heard anything. It's been about a week now. So that music has been, I have been hearing the music. It is summertime, so people are letting the windows down. Without getting into harm's way, we need a little more information so that we can go and address loud music. There are ordinances on the books, and we will deal with it. So please, if you could, without getting in harm's way, get us a little more information. Call the police, right? Our chief's on the line. Call the police, give them that information, and they can address it. I had a gentleman in here today, irate about some cars that he had parked in a lot, a house that we had taken down. And I assured him that your neighbors have called. because residents all over the city are tired of a house being there, vacant and abandoned. The city tears it down, and then the next day a car shows up in that lot, and the car is pretty much vacant and abandoned. So he left out of here, and he was pretty sure he knew which neighbor it was that called. But it's all over the city. So I say that to say,
What about the
residents,
taxes
please
here? What about
call.
the regional taxes?
Residents, please call and let us know where these cars are being parked. It was a boat last year we dealt with. Let us know about the loud music. Any and all information that you can give us to help address this, we can. In regards to the RETA taxes and the resident that was complaining about that, if you would be as kind as to call the finance department, they can get you a better explanation as to what's going on with your RETA taxes. And I believe you mentioned a garnishment or hold. If you call our finance department, they can get you better information on that, because that's usually on a case-by-case basis as to issues with RETA.
I called
And
them, and they told me that I called them.
The state does have legislation that they're looking at that will help cities that have had to deal with businesses that have had their employees working from home, and then deal with the taxes that are then subsequently owed to the host city where their office is. So stay tuned for more legislation coming from the state in that regard. But please call the finance department.
Down in the basement.
You understand your
Nice
particular.
spot down there.
I did call the finance department, and they told me I had to pay them.
Well, I'm going to ask them again in the next couple of days.
So
Please
I'd like to
mute your
thank
mic, Linda.
I'd like to thank you, Council
Yeah,
President.
yeah, because we need it. We've been waiting for years.
You have Mr. Martin back on.
They told me I had to bring
They
it to the
needed the
city of
space.
East
They asked us.
because it was your ordinance that
I'm trying to do it where we don't have to legislate. Okay. You know they don't want us up there. So I said we don't have to. If they give us the basement,
call the finance department.
Down.
I
Thank
called.
you, Council President. That concludes my remarks, unless you have any questions or concerns.
Thank you. Ms. Wright.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Council President,
don't
you
want us
have
up.
Martin and Gowdy back on.
Department.
Martin and Gowdy need to mute their
And you know
mic
where
for a
Charles
moment.
got that little room? We should have got that.
Thank you. Ms.
What's
Wright.
going on now?
Mr. Martin, please mute your mic. Ms. Wright.
Everybody's on here, so that's good. Yeah.
I'm telling you,
You guys want to go inside?
Yeah, let's go inside. Yeah.
Be that
Clerk,
Let's
can
go.
you mute them?
I'm trying to, but they keep coming back up. Coming back, unmuting.
Ms. Wright, the mayor has given you a response, and at this time, that's all the response that you can get.
It's
This is
not
not really,
acceptable
Ms.
because
Wright,
of the
Ms.
finance
Wright,
department.
this is not a forum for you to go back and forth. You can state the problem. The mayor can answer the problem. The council can answer the problem, but we can't, this juncture discussion is over, okay? So, who's on the line? Councilman Gowdy, Council Gowdy, are you there?
They're gone again.
Okay, Councilor Smith?
I don't see Mr. Smith either.
Councilor Austin? So we don't have a quorum?
Can you hear me?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, this my phone breaking in and out too. But nevertheless, I did hear some discussion about the home repair list, and I didn't hear a response about that. I thought I put myself on that list about 4 years ago. I haven't heard a call back or anything either. So I think we should probably, as residents, we should probably go back up there and sign up again, because there is, according to what I understood, some additional dollars available that would not impact the current plans of the administration. So let's go back up there and sign up again. I know it may be cumbersome or a little bit of an annoyance, but it's worth the extra effort to get back up there and get our names back on those lists. And as far as the fire on Noble Road, it was a bad occurrence, and I'm glad it's mostly taken care of, and I hope the council can find it within their heart to continue to move this city forward in a positive way. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Council President, you lost your quorum. There's only yourself and Counselor Austin online.
That's right. And so this meeting must be adjourned. That's what I said. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I was looking carefully. Yep, we lost them all.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming this evening, but without a quorum, this meeting has to be adjourned.
Great. Thank you.
Good night. God
Time
bless.
is
Good night.
8:50 p.m.
God bless.
Good night.
Good night.
So 5 rings.